Hello and welcome to the Pre-Match Show in association with Mick George. My name is Phil Adlam and we're here in the tunnel at the Western Home Stadium ahead of today's Sky Bet League One fixture, which takes place here at 3 o'clock a little bit later on. Shrewsbury Town are the opposition today. Team news will be coming up very, very shortly. So what else can you expect on today's show? Well, we'll be speaking live to manager Darren Ferguson, who will talk us through his team lineup for today's fixture. We'll also have his press conference from early on this week, where he takes a look at today's opposition, what threats they can pose throughout the 90 minutes here today. We also speak to Siriki Dembele. Now, Siriki Dembele has had an interesting journey into the professional game. He was part of the Nike Academy earlier on in his career after leaving Dundee United at the age of 14. We've got a two-part interview with Siriki where he talks about leaving Dundee, going to play with his mates, how he got into the Nike Academy and how that stood him in good stead for his eventual move to Shrewsbury Town. We also speak to Kier Perkins, the Posh Ladies skipper, who reached 100 league goals this week after her goal earned a 2-2 draw on Sunday. We spoke to her on Zoom this week and she talks about that milestone and how she can inspire others to take up the game. We also have a competition to give away a copy of FIFA 21. That'll be a little bit later on in the show, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's hear from manager Darren Ferguson as he spoke to the press earlier this week. Well, Gaffer, no let up in terms of the fixtures keep on coming. Shrewsbury's the next opposition, and I guess very similar to Burton, very hard to break down.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at the Burton game to start with, there was clear areas that we need to improve on, and that will show the players, and clear moments in the game that we didn't do. Certainly when we went 1-0 up, we weren't aggressive enough. The decision making was poor. That gave them encouragement by our poor decision making. And at 2-1, the decision making was better, we just couldn't get that third goal. So, every game we take things out of it that we need to improve on. And then we come up to Shrewsbury, obviously lost our last three. But again, you look at this league and every team you play against, they've got Leon Clark, they've got Cummins, they've got Norburn, who's a very good midfielder, they've just signed Charlie Daniels. So they've got good experience, they've got some real threats, and it's going to be another difficult game.
Yeah, when you look at this league this year, it does look incredibly strong in terms of both the teams that you'd expect to be in the top, but as you just mentioned, a side like Shrewsbury who've lost the last three, just named three players there who are really talented League One players, and that goes to show what this league is all about.
Yeah, it's a strong league, and it's every game demands a lot, every game, especially if you want to win it. And the players are fully aware of that and watching the game back, because when you watch it live as a manager, it's you do get asked after the game, and it's a lot easier to analyse when you've watched it back the next morning or whenever. So it was certainly, the players' attitude and mentality was very good. It was just the certain things I've spoke about, and we have to improve from game to game. But our run is very good, very strong. Our home form is very good, and it's going to be all about us on Saturday and how we perform in terms of how we combat the opposition and how we look to impose ourselves upon them. But certainly I'll be speaking to the players about the things that happened in the Burton game that we need to improve on.
It's very hard as a manager when you're winning games and you know that there's so many games coming thick and fast, because the last thing you want to do is obviously disrupt that momentum, and I guess that's the challenge, isn't it? All those players on the sidelines are probably thinking this is an opportunity because there's so many games this week, but as a manager it's very hard to disrupt what has been a very solid unit.
Yeah, my job at the moment is to manage the players that are not playing, and I spoke to them all this morning in the session. They have to be patient, they have to trust me. I actually went through the certain players and positions, for example Ethan and Reedy. I feel Brown and Taylor, their form's been good. Moisa, I could have put them on Tuesday, but I was thinking about the middle of the pitch because they were causing us problems. So these are the decisions I've got to make very quickly within games. It's not about the players' ability in terms of the ones that are not playing at the moment, clearly. And I just spoke to them today and said, you've got to maintain the correct attitude. I've been a player myself. It's not nice when you're not playing. But if most of them had played in the game in the last 6 games and we'd won 5 and drawn 1, I think they would be disappointed to be left out. I have to look at players in terms of fatigue and tiredness, and identify and speak to the players and find out if I need to make changes in that. And this, in terms of the run of games we've had, the players have looked fine in that sense. So, but we have managed them in between the games quite well. So these are all decisions that as a manager you have to make. I have to manage the squad, and it's certainly about when there's a run of games that players are, the same team seems to be getting constantly picked. It's not always going to be like that, and it's a long season. But certainly it was important that I keep on top of the other ones.
And ultimately, as a player, if you get the opportunity, you've shown as a manager in the past that if they play well, they're likely to keep the shirt. So it's on them as well that when they get the opportunity, if they get the opportunity, to show what they're all about.
Yeah, absolutely. It depends on what reasons players are left out. Sometimes it's a rest, which means it's difficult, and you've got to be aware that if someone comes in and does it excellent, that there is a possibility that the other player will be back in because it was a rest, or if he does that well, he'll stay in. When players are being left out for performance-wise, then obviously the ones that come in have got an opportunity to step up. What we've done is, after the Sunderland game, we've found a consistency to winning games and performances. So that's just the way it is. But certainly, I keep maintaining that everyone will be needed.
Siriki.
Hello and welcome back to the pre-match show. I understand we had some audio problems with our interview with manager Darren Ferguson. The rest of the show we're trying to find out why that was the case. Now earlier this week we sat down with Peterborough United striker Siriki Dembele to speak about his career to date and in particular his time within the Nike Academy. Okay, Siriki, well, let's start very much at the beginning because obviously you're a footballer that in your later teenage years were not part of an academy system. You sort of come through the Nike Academy. When you were sort of 7, 8, 9, 10, were you sort of playing with family, local friends, or were you in a team?
So I was at Dundee United from about 9 to 14 or something. So I was playing for them, and then they were a bit far away from where I lived, and getting up was a problem, and there wasn't anyone to take me really. So I stopped going there. And then I wasn't really playing with anyone really, just playing football, and then I went to Nike.
Yeah, and when you were at Dundee, as you say, when you age 9, 10, 11, was it just all about the enjoyment, or were you thinking at that age, this is really what I want to do for the rest of my life?
It's always been since 9 or even younger, just playing football. It's always been something I've wanted to do, and I've always thought about it as hopefully I will get to do this, but it's always about enjoying it and having fun, and then whatever happens after that, is a bonus.
And when you were growing up, were you sort of someone that would sort of kick a tennis ball about in the alleyway, or you kicking balls against the wall? Were you that kind of kid?
Yeah, I'd get in trouble actually because I'd be kicking whatever. If it's a stone in the street, a bottle, just anything really. Just playing football is just an enjoyment, to be honest.
And when you're sort of that age, are you looking at skills? Were you sort of looking at other people and think I want to perfect that, or looking on the internet? How did it work? How did you learn?
Yeah, so back then I would always watch Ronaldinho, Cristiano Ronaldo, them videos, especially Ronaldinho. Just amazing really to watch, and I would always try and do things like that, and make sure it comes off, and do it as many times as I have to make sure it comes off.
What was the first one you perfected then? Can you remember the first real bit of skill you learned?
I would say it was a step over. I say a step over, you just start mastering that, just keep doing it, and then you just master it, it just becomes second nature.
Was there a skill you tried to do as a young age and really struggled with, and then as you got older you perfected it and you were like, that's the one? I
would say that's the around the world. So I couldn't get to do that at the start. But I kept on trying, and then it worked.
And when you were sort of towards the end of Dundee, say age 13, 14, obviously I don't want to say you're not a big lad, but you're quite a small, diminutive figure. Were you thinking that you were going to grow? Were you hoping you were going to grow? And was that partly why you ended up leaving?
Well, the reason why I left was because it was far from home and I couldn't really get to go. But then in terms of my height and like the way I am, I never saw that as a problem, because it isn't. It's football, that's never been a problem for me in my mind. I've always thought, football's, the way it should be played, anyways. The way I see it, it's the beautiful game. It's not about anything else really.
When you left Dundee, then you obviously were you thinking what's next? How did it? Were you a couple of months, years go past where you were thinking, is this ever going to happen for you?
Yeah, so when I left, then I was so young, so I didn't really think of what's going to happen next. But then as I got older, around 16, 17, then you start to think like, what's going to happen. You start to wonder, so those moments are it's a bit difficult, but then I've always believed, and I always knew, I just believed in myself that it would happen some point anyways. And then I went to Nike, and then,
Before we come on to Nike, school-wise, were you someone that was desperate to just do PE, or did you have another focus? Because often when you speak to footballers, they say, yeah, I did okay at school, but ultimately my aim was to be a footballer. Were you someone leaning towards that side as well?
No, I didn't like it much, I can't lie. When it was PE time, that's when I'm just happy to go, and if it wasn't football as well, it wouldn't be good. But yeah, PE was good.
Any other sports catch your eye at the time?
I liked badminton. I think that was good. What else? No, just football and maybe badminton.
Yeah.
Yeah, basketball was good, to be honest.
Did someone lift you up?
No, I just always run past everyone and then try and shoot.
Hello and welcome back to the pre-game show in association with Mick George. My name is Phil Adlam. You've just watched part one of our interview with Siriki Dembele. Part two will be coming a little bit later on in the show. We've also got some classic matches. Now, one of the things we were doing earlier on this year was trying to go through our video archive, see if we could find a few gaps in terms of our archive, because at the moment, you know, there were a number of years where we don't have any footage whatsoever. Well, thankfully, we've managed to fill a few gaps in the 1990s, and we look back to a game against Shrewsbury Town from 1999 coming up a little bit later on in the show. We don't seem to have a good record against Shrewsbury, certainly not under Darren Ferguson, although there has been some notable successes, including a 4-2 win at Shrewsbury, which secured our playoff berth a few years ago, and a 3-2 success very late on through John Taylor. I think that's 4-3 actually, if memory serves me correctly. But here, Shrewsbury have proved difficult opposition, so hopefully we can get the job done today. Now, iFollow passes are available for today's game, priced at £10. If you go to the club website, which is theposh.com, follow all of the instructions there and you can buy your match pass for today's game. Now, season ticket holders, you would have been sent an email which will explain how the difference is taking place for today's game with regards to what you guys need to do. If you have any problems, email ifollow@theposh.com and they can be dealt with. And hopefully we won't have any issues that we had on Tuesday night for our game against Burton Albion. Now, next up, we turn our attention to the Posh Ladies, because this week Kier Perkins scored her 100th league goal for the football club in a 2-2 draw on Sunday. I caught up with her on Zoom this week to find out a bit more about that milestone and how she's inspiring the next generation. Okay, we're delighted to be joined by Kier Perkins, fresh from scoring a 100th league goal at the weekend. What a feeling. I'd imagine that was quite a special day for you.
Yeah, it was very special. Something I didn't actually expect to happen. I never thought like I'd get to 100 goals. I didn't know how long I'd be at Posh for. But, you know, I'm here, 5 seasons in, 100 goals down. Hopefully to the next 200. Got to get there soon, hopefully quicker than 5 years. But, you know, we'll see. It's good. It's an achievement.
I mean, when we were sort of looking at the statistics and we found that you were on 99, I guess as a striker particularly, that can play in your mind quite a long time. So it must have been nice having worked out you're on 99 to score in the next game.
Yeah, I didn't want it hanging over me or anything like that. But to be honest, I went into the game and before the match I spoke to my manager and I said, I don't really care about scoring 100 goals. I want to win the game, which unfortunately we didn't do. But, you know, I got my 100th goal. We got a draw out of it. So it was good. It was all right.
Was it how you pictured it?
Absolutely not. No, I think actually it's probably the worst goal I've scored for Posh. I'll be honest and say that it wasn't the best goal in the world, but a goal's a goal. It got the 100th goal and it got us a point at the end of the day. So it counts. It's all good.
And it must have been nice to see the reaction of your teammates and obviously your management team, because they were so pleased for you to get to that landmark.
My teammates and management are amazing. I couldn't ask for anyone better. I'm so privileged to get to play with them all and to be under management like that. They're all so proud of me and so happy for me. And obviously we were disappointed because we didn't win the game, but they were still happy for me personally and still celebrated that achievement with me. They're all amazing. So I'm so lucky.
And in terms of the 100 goals that you have scored, can you remember many of them? Can you remember all of them? Can you remember certain ones?
To be honest, I said to my teammates last night at training, I was quite disappointed that it wasn't one of my goals from a previous game this season, because I scored a good goal this season. But to be fair, I can't really remember most of my goals, no.
And in terms of reaching 100, as you say, when you set out, as you say, it was 5 years ago, but 5 years ago you wouldn't have known you'd been playing this long or how many goals you would score. When you look back at the 5 years and the amount of goals you scored, you must be proud of yourself.
Yeah, I am proud. And obviously it's been a journey at Posh. In my first couple of seasons, I think in my first season, I only played about 7 games. And then the season after, I wasn't a starting player. So it's not just a journey of goals, it's a journey of, of the player development and how far I've come as well, to be able to now call myself captain and to say I'm often a starting player, and I've now scored 100 goals. I am proud of myself.
And your management have been saying as well that you're still got so much to improve on, and you're improving all of the time. And that must be nice as someone who's reached a milestone like 100 goals to know there's still improvement within you.
Yeah, it is nice, and my management are great at helping me and telling me what I do need to improve on, which is good. I'm always up for improving, and I know I still have stuff to work on. I'm not like the best player in the world. I've scored 100 goals, yes, but I have still got improvements, and hopefully with those improvements, then I can be on my way to 200.
Is that a legitimate target? Are you sort of setting yourself now and thinking, right, how quickly can I get to a certain next block of goals?
Well, my next target, I want to win the league. I want to win the league. That is my big one. But as a personal target, why not? Why not?
And in terms of, as you say, being captain of the group as well, that obviously lends itself to more responsibility. As a striker who's obviously scoring goals as well, there's a lot of pressure from all sorts of things. Are you feeling that you can handle that kind of responsibility?
Yeah, I think obviously I have a great team to back me with stuff as well. I think we're in a team where we all have a voice, and it's not just me talking all the time or me leading. We lead for each other, we work for each other, and we're very good in that respect. So we're very much a team. And I'm happy to be part of it.
Hello and welcome back to the Pre-Match Show in association with Mick George. My name is Phil Adlam and we're here at the Western Home Stadium ahead of today's Sky Bet League One fixture with Shrewsbury Town, which gets underway at 3 p.m. Remember, iPhone passes can be purchased right now for £10 if you go to the club website, theposh.com, and follow the instructions on there. Now, earlier on in, I suppose we better call it lockdown 1, given the fact that Boris Johnson's about to do a statement later on today, and there could be a lockdown 2. In lockdown 1, we started selling masks in the club shop, very similar to these here, which have got Beta United crest on. And part of the money that was raised for the sale of those masks was being donated to Sue Ryder. Now, the club and the fans have helped to raise £2,689 by donating £1 for every face mask sold. And the club's academy staff also took on a virtual challenge during the height of lockdown and raised £1,310. Now, this was a lot of running. All of the academy staff were doing that, pounding the streets. That's probably why Kieran Scarf's currently injured. So we managed to raise just under £4,000. Sue Ryder put together a little video for us to thank the fans and the club for what they did.
We would like to say a huge thank you to the Posh, your fans and the club's academy staff for continuing to raise vital funds so we can help to continue look after our patients and their families at this time. You might not be able to tell from our photos in this video, but the Sue Ryder nurses and all our frontline staff are wearing huge smiles behind our masks as we go about our vital work. I would like to say thank you. Your support really means the world to us as we continue to go about our work looking after local people during the coronavirus pandemic.
Hello and welcome back to the Pre-Match Show in association with Mick George. Now, we've got a bit of information for you about the club shop because Matchday Madness is back, and in the club shop today and online, of course, at theonlinestore.com, you can get hold of these carbon footballs for £10. Special offer which runs all the way through until midnight tonight. So make sure you get yourself on the club shop online store and you can get your hands on these footballs for just £10. And I believe they're also in different colours as well to match our kit, so make sure you get involved with that. Now, I am going at a shot, and don't panic because the forehead was on show there, but we've got a competition for you now, and it is to win a copy of FIFA 21, which has been signed by members of the Peterborough United squad. To be in with a chance of winning this copy, please leave your comments on this show, leaving your predictions, with your name and contact details in the comments. If anyone gets that prediction correct, they'll be in with a chance of winning this signed copy of FIFA 21. Now, I know former Peterborough United player Gabby Zakuani did a competition recently, and what he essentially did was ask you guys to prove that you were winning. Well, we're going to pick one today. There's no screenshotting or anything along those lines. We'll pick one winner who will win the copy of FIFA from all the correct predictions of today's scoreline against Shrewsbury Town. So make sure you put comments in the box and we'll select a winner a little bit later on today. Now, it's time to have some adverts from some of our key sponsors, so let's watch them now. Hello and welcome back to today's pre-match show in association with Mick George. My name is Phil Adlam and I am live here from the Western Home Stadium where Peterborough United players and Shrewsbury players are currently warming up behind me ahead of today's League One fixture. Now, in terms of team selection for today's game, manager Darren Ferguson has made one change with Niall Mason coming in place of Nathan Thompson. Nearly called him Lewis there. Of course, he has got a brother called Lewis, that's probably why. But Nathan Thompson drops out. Idris Kanu comes on to the substitutes bench for Posh today. You can see the team lineup scrolling across below my finger just there. You can, of course, view the full team sheet as well on the club website and via social media as well. But one change for Peterborough United today. In terms of Shrewsbury, Jason Cummins has recovered from illness sufficiently enough to be among their substitutes today. I spoke to Jason earlier, couldn't understand a word he was saying at all. He's still very, very lively. He asked if I missed him. I'm not too sure I do. But anyway, the team lineup is being confirmed for today's game. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when we're looking at archive footage, we were looking into the archives to find a suitable game that we could put on our social media this week. And we found a victory over Shrewsbury from 1999. And we're going to play it for you now, so reminisce here.
London Road's an exciting place to be at the moment. Posh have won 7 of their 8 home matches. Another 3 points assured by half-time on Saturday, despite that free kick from Shrewsbury's Tony Rigby, which equalised Andy Clark's early goal for Peterborough. Posh responded with 3 more goals before the break to go to the top of Division 3. Steve Castle's penalty, followed by Howard Forrington with this powerful drive. And then with 29 minutes gone, Clark added his second of the game, much to the delight of manager Barry Fry. Shrewsbury's response to defeat to sack manager Jake King today.
Hello and welcome back to the Pre-Match Show. You were just reminiscing there from 1999. Of course, in 99-2000, Peterborough United promoted at Wembley via the playoffs against Darlington on a very wet Friday night, which I'm sure many of you Posh fans will remember. And Andy Clark, of course, who was amongst the scorers there, scored the winning goal on that day. Now, earlier on in the show, we brought you a competition to win this signed copy of FIFA 21, which features some of the signatures from the Peterborough United squad. And we asked you to predict the scoreline, and we'll pick the winners from who gets it right. Simon Walton has gone 3-0 Posh, which hopefully we do get that result. Clifford Jenkins has gone 3-2 Posh today, a little bit nervy for me. Malcolm Smart, 3-1 to Posh. We'll take that if we can. And Posh Hearts, well, you're already in a playoff with the first one. He's gone 3-0 to Posh. If you put your predictions in the comments, leaving your name and details, if you predict the correct scoreline for today's game, and maybe a bonus if you put the score in as well, then we'll select a winner, and this copy of FIFA 21 will be winging its way to you. Now I'm going to put it down, so don't be alarmed as my forehead might appear in shot. I'll just put it down there. There we go. So the team lineup continues to appear below. One change for Peterborough United today. No Nathan Thompson. He's been, I suppose, rested to protect him. Should be available for Tuesday's game with Bristol Rovers. Noel Mason comes back into the squad. Siriki Dembele, of course, keeps his place in the starting lineup. And you saw part one of our interview with him earlier on in the show. And it's time for part two. Well, Shrewsbury, in part one, we got as far as sort of the Nike Academy. Talk us through how that happened, because people that don't know about the Nike Academy, it is essentially a squad put together to bring people that were not signed to other clubs into a group and see where they could take you. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that is it. It's based at St George's Park, and it's basically just players from all over the world, really. And the final trial was in France at Clairefontaine, and they picked 2 players from Brazil, everywhere really, and then 7 from UK, because obviously it was from UK. And then when you go to France, you know, they pick 11 players from there, and you join the academy. It was fantastic, to be honest. It was one of the best things that I've done.
What kind of pressure do you feel under in those kind of things, or don't you feel pressure? Because ultimately, obviously, you want to be selected, but I guess for you, having not been at a club for a little while, it was a case of trying to showcase what you're all about.
Yeah, and we've shown, you know, what you can do. There's no pressure really, because when you don't have anything, all you can do is just show what you can do and do it to the best you can. You won't lose either way, because if you don't have anything, and you won't have anything anyways. So I try to, just show everyone how good I am, and then the rest takes care of itself.
Are you still in touch with any of them people from the academy?
I
Has
am.
anyone gone on like you?
Yeah, actually, one boy we played against, Oxford, Sean Clare. He was at Nike Academy, but the year I came, he left that year. So yeah, there's been a few players that I've went on to play. Yeah.
And in terms of where that sort of take you as a platform, because once you're in that sort of Nike squad, you then play games against other teams?
Yeah, so the year before I came, they played Barcelona, Inter Milan, big clubs, and the year I came, we got to play Man City, some big clubs we got to play. We got to go Russia and play at Spartak Moscow. So it's really good to showcase yourself and show what you've got.
And in terms of coaches, did they have sort of players that had played before, or was it just specialised coaches that were working with you?
No, they had John Goodman. I think you'll know him. He was a player before, and Matt Murray. He's the goalkeeper coach. So they had people coaching that had played before. So it was really good. And
also ultimately that gave you a platform, because, as you say, when you're not playing, it's very hard to get spotted. But when you're part of a group, then people can come and watch you play. And is that how you moved to Grimsby happened?
Literally, yeah. So before I went to Grimsby, I could have went to 2 other places. I went there, and then I got injured, so I had to go back to Nike. And then once I got fit again, went to Grimsby saw me. So when you're playing football, it doesn't matter where. As long as you're playing, you can be seen. If you're not playing, then it's very difficult. Yeah.
Was it I suppose when you're coming out of the Nike Academy and Grimsby wanted you, it's just nice to feel wanted, isn't it? I guess. Yeah. Was it something that you thought, right, this is the start of my career, so to speak?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you want to try and do the best you can, and then just play really. in front of people, and wherever that is, as long as you're playing, is the most important thing.
And just finally, when you sort of look back at to what the Nike Academy did for you in terms of giving you that platform, but also the environment that you were in, because without being there, I'd imagine it was well looked after, and you say you've got the opportunity to travel. How important is it for teams like that, for people that are finding themselves out of work in terms of football, because it's going to spiral even more at this stage?
Yeah, what I would say is, football is a game where, one day it's up and then one day it's down. The main thing is to just keep playing and enjoy it and see what happens, because not every single player that plays at youth level at big clubs or even normal clubs make it to the first team. The main thing is to play in the first team anyway, so it doesn't matter if you've not had a career in the youth team, or it doesn't matter really. The main thing is to focus and do your best to actually get into the first team of any club, and then take it from there.
Hello and welcome back to the final part of our pre-match show in association with Mick George. Believe it or not, given the fact that it was absolutely chucking it down earlier on today, the sun is actually coming out at the Western Home Stadium behind me, which is incredible when you consider the downpour we had earlier on today. The Posh United lineup is currently just scrolling along below right there. One change for Darren Ferguson's men. Nathan Thompson misses out today. Niall Mason comes in his place. No real injury with Nathan. I think it's just managing him with a tough schedule. Of course, Posh travel to Bristol Rovers on Tuesday night with a 7 o'clock kickoff, so he may well be back for that game. The manager certainly didn't indicate that it'd be a long-term injury for him, and that's the only change for Darren Ferguson for today's game. Shrewsbury, Jason Cummins on the bench for them. He's recovered from illness to take his place on the bench for the Shrews. In terms of the Posh United under-18s, they were in action against MK Dons this morning and won 3-0. That's always good when you beat MK Dons, but especially when you win by 3-0. Sean Keane, again among the goal scorers, Charlie O'Connell and Theo on target this morning. They are in action in the FA Youth Cup on Wednesday away at Newmarket Town. That game kicks off at 7:30 p.m. And providing Boris allows it, of course, that game will take place. And if it does, and we're allowed to go there, then we'll, of course, cover it for social media as per normal. Early on in the show, I talked to you about these carbon footballs, which are available in today's Matchday Madness. They are priced at £10. You go to the club shop online, which is poshonlinestore.com, until midnight tonight. You can make a saving on these footballs, £10, and I believe they're available in all the club colours as well. So head on to the online store. And of course, if there is a lockdown coming, the best place to do your Christmas shopping, and probably the only place to do your Christmas shopping, is online. So check out all of the bargains that you can get ahead of Christmas in the online store. And remember, the competition to win the signed copy of FIFA 2021 is still ongoing. If you want to put your predictions in the comment box, we'll pick a winner and let you know the winner a little bit later on today. So Posh United versus Shrewsbury. iFollow passes can be purchased right now for £10. Go to the club website, which is theposh.com, and follow all of the instructions. Fingers crossed it works perfectly today and you'll be able to see all of the action. But if you can't, you can listen to